Morning. What is this theme, Keon? What is it? Toph, it doesn't work if you say you know what it is when Keon just gave the answer to it. Suck at fighting games? Yeah, I do too. The directions don't really make sense to me. Like, circle, quarter, half punch just to do like a combo that doesn't actually do anything. Usually, like one character as a casual, you can just spam one button and break. Soul Calibur 2, Raphael, the guy with the sword. He had a button you could hit and you could just auto beat everybody with. You know, Soul Calibur 2 is kind of a dumb game, actually. The more I think about it. Also, check this out. Not only am I the best Splatoon podcaster, the best Splatoon commentator, the best Splatoon personality all around, I'm also the best dad, hands down. There we go. Look at that. That's me. Best dad right here. It's official. Where do I put this? In front of the Stuffle? You can't see it there. Gotta put this somewhere. How else would you guys know that I'm the best dad? They like dipped my son's hands in something and then splatted it on there. Best dad. That's me. Are any of you the best dad? Do any of you in chat have an award that says you are the best dad? The answer is no, which makes me de facto best dad around. Uncontested. Reigning champ. Undisputed. I might even, you know what? If I had a low ink trophy from when we won low ink 4 years ago up somewhere, I would take it down and replace it with this. That's right. Being the best dad means more to me than winning low ink. Hey, I never got a ban from Low Ink certificate. What's up with that? I should DM somebody about that. I should send an angry DM to somebody about that. That's what I should do. That'll get me what I want. There's nothing in this world that being a douchebag can't solve. You remember this? What was the last thing I talked about when you were the last time you were here? If you don't remember, then you don't actually remember this. And you just lied in chat. Which would fit in with the theme of everybody else that types in chat, so that works out. I did talk about Looney last week. Forgot what I said. Did I say Triggerfish was going to sweep Division 3? Probably did, because I think I said that 2 months ago, actually. I always believed in Camp Triggerfish. Would you believe I was the only person on the seating council who advocated for Camp Triggerfish to be Division 1? But literally everybody else on the seating council said no. They're Div 4 at best. So that's how they got averaged out to be Div 3. I was the only one who believed in them. Nobody else did. It's a shame. Damn shame. Div 4 is wild. It has Wave in it, and Wave didn't even make playoffs. Div 4 is the true Div 2. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are still counterpicking Tower Control Art Academy in Game 2 in the year 2024, expecting Joe Biden to be back in the election a month later from now, making a free agent post, playing 4 sets during the makeup Ludi week and winning all 4 of them to sweep your group and guarantee playoffs. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate the time. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Man, what's the point of Ludi being 1 match per week if you can play your entire season in 1 week? We could just do this Ludi thing in like 2 weeks. 1 week is your regular season. Next week is the playoffs. You get it all figured out. It seems like when push comes to shove, everybody could get it figured out at that time. We don't need a month-long Ludi thing. This drags on forever. You start to hate everybody else on your pickup. Like, just get it over with. We can do this. Playoffs is starting now. It's going to take 4 weeks to get through playoffs. 4 weeks. Hopefully, Div X can be done in 1 day. I like it when they do that. They stream just like all 3 matches all at once and get it over with. But man, 4 weeks. We're about halfway done with Ludi. Divs came out like 6 years ago. None of those divs are accurate anymore, but so be it. American politics is very unsettling now. The past 2 weeks has been anything but fun. And it has been a stressful thing for me to be looking at. However, I'm excited that Splatoon exists and I can distract myself from the horrors of reality. And hopefully you see this as a nice little brief hour-long distraction as well before you have to go back to the reality of the real world. News of tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast. The thing I was going to talk about in this segment, I can't talk about because it hasn't even been announced yet. So I have nothing to talk about. There's a ton of tournaments going on. Playing SOS this Wednesday, I guess. I don't know. Nothing I want to officially endorse. Minnow Cup is going to be next weekend. I think that was announced. Clam Blitz. Other than that, you guys been playing in a lot of tournaments. You got Ludi stuff going on. Maybe take this week off and just relax. Play something else. Play some Fortnite. Play some StarCraft. Do something other than Splatoon for a bit. Recharge your batteries. Today we are going to be recapping Superjump, the biggest online major of the year that took place last weekend. We're going to be talking about all the brackets, all the upsets, and all the teams that are potentially going to be banned from Low Inc. Starting next month. All of that good stuff we're going to be hitting today. But first, so when I got home from Low Tide City back in May, I'm sitting at the dinner table back home. I got my newspaper up. I'm reading the news. Got my glasses on. My son is sitting next to me eating a sandwich. My wife is making a coffee, and I just come to this realization as I just kind of fold the newspaper down. I should make a league. There should be a Splatoon league. And my son, who was 9 months old at the time, looked to me and said, this is true, he looked to me and said, "Dad, don't do that. Don't make a Splatoon league. You saw how burnt out all of the Ink TV TOs were at the end of that thing. You know that everybody that was involved in the Ink TV League are no longer a part of the community because they don't want to be doing this anymore. Come on, Dad. Let's be realistic here. That's a really dumb idea." And then my response was, "Bro, since when did you start talking?" And then he was like, blah, 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 until he normally does. So that was the only time he's ever said anything to me. And he couldn't be more true. He could not be more true. The Ink TV League, while it was awesome, it was great for the viewers. There was a lot of stuff behind the scenes that was not so much fun. to do from the TOing side of things. Now, I wasn't a TO for that. I was just a personality, I guess. I commentated. I was on an analyst desk. I did some content for that thing. It was a lot of fun what I did because I didn't have to interact with any of the players, which apparently was an extremely unfun time. And yes, I know if you guys remember the third place match between Crush Soda and Starburst in that, where they just kind of goofed around, used random weapons, and didn't really take it that seriously. I thought that was great. Several people thought it was great. It's got a lot of views up on YouTube. The people behind the scenes did not enjoy that at all, which I never really understood why. Like I predicted the day before that was what the third place match was going to be, that nobody was going to take it seriously because who cares if you make third place? There's no honor in getting a bronze medal in something like that. You want to win it. But there was just a lot of things that frustrated a lot of people behind the scenes with the Ink TV League. But like any stubborn American, I look at that and say, I could fix it. I could do a league, but also make it not so stressful to where it's something that I would never want to do it again. So, and what inspired this thought, obviously from Low Tide City, I'm commentating one of the most hype land sets we've seen from the grassroots community, alongside Falco Flyer, of course. Moonlight versus Starburst. The surprise match where Moonlight takes a set away from Starburst and the crowd goes wild. The biggest Splatoon crowd we've ever had at a grassroots LAN, and all of them going bananas over Moonlight getting the upset over Starburst in the game 4. That was awesome. It was an inspiring moment, and anytime you go to a LAN, you're always going to leave with the mindset of, I want to play more Splatoon, and then 2 days later, you're like, no, I don't. But that's the kind of mindset I was in. I'm done playing Splatoon, but I'm always like, I want to create something. I want to find ways to get that atmosphere we had in person and extend it back over to the online scene where everybody has access to it, not people that can just afford a plane ticket or the price to get into or the hotel and food and all that stuff. Not everybody can go to a LAN. But we could get teams from all over the world to play in a league, and the entire community would hop on board with it, just like we did with the Ink TV League. So that's what inspired my thought of, let's try to get this going. We need more storylines. And the Ink TV League provided tons of them that set the tone for the competitive scene for not just last March or last April, but that carried over for a full year. The Ink TV League had huge impacts on competitive Splatoon. It was the end of Starburst's chokehold on the community. It was the rise of Jackpot, and obviously things have changed since then, but this shifted the entire scene of how we saw top-level Splatoon in one league. And we hadn't seen it since then, so I thought, let's try to bring this thing back. I was thinking of doing something during the summertime because Ink TV just finished in May, and I was like, well, everybody's off during the summer. There's no LANs going on. We're not running over Riptide or anything. Let's just do it right now. Pitched the idea to IPL and started thinking about the vision of what this thing was going to look like. How are we actually going to make this thing happen to where it is not a stressful thing, to where we could do it on an annual basis and not just a once and never again kind of basis. So one day later, literally the next day after I just started getting some IPL folks together and be like, let's start thinking through what this would be like. Dapple Productions reached out to us saying that they had a league that they were going to be running and they wanted to involve us in a way, and they wanted to talk about it with us. And we were like, you don't say. Let's talk about that. Let's have a conversation and see what we can come up with here. So we got into a meeting with the Dapple Productions higher ups, and was just like, here's what we were thinking about doing. what are you guys thinking about doing? And they had like this slideshow, like PowerPoint presentation already planned out. Like they were way far ahead in the planning process of what they wanted to do with their league versus us that just had like we're brainstorming where we wanted to go with ours. So it's just like a matter of, okay, what are we going to do from here? So we go out of that meeting with the mindset of, okay, let's have both orgs do a different league. IPL does a league during the summertime, and then in the fall, Dapples will do their league. And then like a day or two later, we got to thinking on the IPL side, and it's like, wait, that's a stupid idea. Let's not do that. Let's not rush to create a league in the summertime. Instead, we have this Superjump tournament that we've been kind of sitting on and shelving. It makes a whole heck of a lot more sense to just run Superjump during the summer, let Dapples do their league in the fall, and then we will use that time to come up with something for next spring. IPL will do a league then, and Superjump can be the thing that like starts building up hype for this new league format that Dapples is going to be doing. So ultimately, that is where we're at right now. Superjump ran, and the surprise prize that nobody knew about until Grand Finals actually started. If you won Superjump, you got automatically invited to play in the next best thing since the Ink TV League in May of last year. The 20XX Dapple Production League. Basically, they're taking all the 20XX tournaments that they haven't run in a while and said, instead of just doing like a one weekend every now and then throughout the year where we just dump all this money away, let's just do it all at once in a league format, still have the money prize pool, but expand it out over the course of a month or two. Like a month, like half a month for qualifiers, and then play through the group stage, and then a one-day playoff. And it's like, that's a great idea. So Superjump can build up that thing, and ultimately, you got what happened yesterday. I think there was some pretty decent excitement about the Dapple Production League. I can tell you I'm excited about it, and I'm not even a part of it. But this also sets up a structure that we would like to see. There's a lot of issues with the competitive, like the structure of the competitive Splatoon scene. And no, I'm not talking about the pyramid thing, top level, mid level, upside down, lower inertia. None of that bullcrap that actually doesn't mean anything. I'm talking about the actual structure of all the tournaments that we have going on right now. We have more tournaments than you could shake a fist at. And we have even more than that when you stop and think about it. Oh my goodness, there are so many tournaments, and not a single one of them are appealing to anybody who's actually like near the top of the competitive scene. That's a huge gap of things that need to be done. Our tournaments are oversaturated, and they all appeal to the same exact people, which is this like Div 1 and below. Like almost every single one of them does. So there needs to be a way to address all of that stuff. So if this new format were to take place, if we do continue to do super jumps, which we've done 4 years in a row, and this 20X thing works out, and then the IPL League in the spring to be determined ends up working out as well, then what you have is a set rotation that has people excited about something to look forward to each time going forward. In the spring, you got the IPL League. In the summer, you got Superjump, the biggest online major. In the fall, you got the 20XX League. And peppered throughout that year, you have 4 different Sindao Q finals. You have major LAN tournaments. Hopefully, Breeze comes back. I don't think it's going to this year, but Europe needs some like strong LAN presence. But over here in the States, hopefully it still is the States by this time next year. You got Riptide, which is pretty consistent, and you got something taking place in May, whether it's MomoCon or the child of Low Tide City. There's going to be major LAN events going on in stateside, not to mention, the locals that are constantly going on, and Gridlock. That a major? I don't know. It's a pretty significant tournament, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You could argue it is or it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. The point is, there's a lot of really exciting stuff now for top level to be looking forward to. Because that was the thing with Superjump, right? Superjump was going to come and it was going to end. And then it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do with all these teams? There's already something to look forward to in the 20XX League. And if this works out, there'll be something for teams to look forward to at the end of the 20XX League. There's always going to be that next thing to grind to that's going to be significant enough for them to play in. That is the excitement that is trying to be created right here. And the momentum after Superjump, the fact that this doesn't die off, this is great for several teams. Not just Metro. If Metro's actually playing in it, or if Zenith's going to try to win one of the qualifiers with their Osmosis team, or what, I have no idea. But you look at what Duck Motif did yesterday, beating Moonlight and Bet. A league would be huge for them. You look at all the EU strong teams. EU has not had a strong showing in a long time. Yes, Germany almost beat Jackpot at the World Championships. Other than that, as far as grassroots majors is going, it has not been very pretty as far as EU is concerned. Now that whole region looks like they're going to be destroying 20XX League with how things are shaping out right now. And that's a great thing. The fact that there is more parity going on across the entire West, not just North America anymore. That is awesome to see. And that is momentum that has been built up from Superjump that doesn't just die there, because there is the next thing to carry it over to immediately. And yes, the elephant in the room is that Jackpot is gone, along with their brand. That is, there's no sad violins for that. They did it to themselves. There's no sympathy coming here, but you cannot deny the fact that there is a throne that is just left vacant, and we're looking for somebody to fill that space. Who's going to be the next team to step up to that kind of category? It is not so much a, well, they're gone. I mean, they were world champions and they got the banner and now they're gone. That's the end of the scene. No, nothing stops this train. If we got to put a low ink team up on a banner, we'll do it. But there will always be a next team up, because there's always somebody who's been grinding and waiting for their opportunity to take that next step. Maybe it's Metro. We'll find out how things shape out in the 20XX League. But that's exciting. That's the value that a league like this can bring. Now, this is, obviously we're missing some things from the end of Ink TV. We haven't had a league in over a year and a half. There's been people on Twitter who've been like, hey, I'll do it. Hey, somebody respond to this tweet if you want to help me create a league. And none of those things ever happen, because it is a lot of work. There is a lot of production stuff that needs to go into it. You need to have a lot of resources. It's not just something to where you just grab friends and you're like, let's just all put this together. Like, no, that's you need to have some really good friends. For Ink TV to work, just the qualifiers alone took 4 streamers on one day, a couple of backup streamers because people's internet was going out, 8 different commentators, and not just like random commentators that you just pull off of Twitter, like 8 high quality commentators. It took a lot of really talented folks in very, very various disciplines across the competitive Splatoon production side of things to make the Ink TV League work. You can't just grab random people to do it with. So it should be up to Dapple Productions and IPL to do these leagues, because that is what the role of these bigger organizations should be right now. There are so many tournaments going on. There's way too many tournaments going on. Last Saturday, not including Gridlock, which was going on, there was 8 tournaments happening on Saturday. Several of them happening at 1 p.m. Eastern time. They're all the same exact time. 2 of them skill cap tournaments that were single mode only tournaments happening at the same exact time. What are we doing? And none of these tournaments are working out because registration is getting pulled in all many different directions, People will play in tournaments once a first time until they win a badge, and then they never come back again. Like these badges, there's so many different badges, and it's hard to recognize what any of them are. Like when I was doing seeding for Ludi, and I was looking at the results side of things, the results people were putting down, half the tournaments, especially low level, half the tournaments low levels was putting down, I had never heard of before in my life. And it wasn't uncommon to hear somebody in the seeding council go to a general chat and be like, has anyone heard of this tournament? Like, is this a skill cap tournament? Like, who kind of plays in this? They said they won this. Can somebody find the bracket and see if like they played like significant teams in this tournament, or if it was just like 3 other teams that signed up and they're like, hey, we won this one, we should be this div. And it's like, you didn't actually play anybody, but you got a badge because you won it. There's some players that are in Division 3, but if you look at their Sindao profile, their badge section looks like they're a 5-star general. Like it's crazy. It's the badges, because there's so many different tournaments and they all have badges. It's almost like the badge system has been watered down. If everybody has like 6 different badges, is it really that impressive that you have any of them at all at this point? There's just so much going on. And Dapple Productions and IPL should not be adding to that clutter. There's some things where we're always thinking about, well, what's this new tournament that we could come up with? Or what? Hey, there's nothing going on at Tuesday at 6 in the morning. There's the time slot. We can put a new tournament in there. It's like, no, we shouldn't be creating more oversaturation with this. Instead, what actually needs to be addressed? It needs to be leagues. So that is what IPL and Dapples should be doing going forward in the future. And hopefully this is the right step in the right direction. So those 2 orgs have the production, have the resources to do leagues the correct way. So hopefully this is just something that becomes a regular rotation. Dapple Productions is first up. And my hope for them, the format seems to be pretty good. The 2 qualifiers to get 3 teams each. 1 team straight up out of Superjump, and then a last chance qualifier where only 1 team makes it out of that. That seems like that's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't seen the format of the last place or the last ditch effort qualifier, but just having 1 team win it to move on to the league, that seems like a lot of stress, and I'm all for watching people play stressful Splatoon. Not so much playing in it, but watching other people doing it, that seems like a good time. 8 teams all together, same kind of group stage. Each match you're going to be seeing here. That's how you should be doing it. And there's so much, if you really want to burn yourself out, there's so much different content that you can do with this. And this is something that Ink TV did a good job of just kind of like letting K-Bots and other people who had, or Jub, be like, I got an idea. And then like, okay, cool, just do that idea. Here's this Pass the Clam show. Here's this, there was some stuff you guys didn't see. There was going to, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't spoil it because maybe you'll see it sometime in the future. But there was a lot of things in the work. A lot of different predictions being put out on Twitter to start the conversation then. And then you had things not related to Ink TV that was making content. Right here. Who's more excited about a league coming back than me? This is what the Popcast was built for. Yes, we're talking about important issues the last couple of weeks. I understand that, and we always will. But that's not why I created this podcast. I did it because I want to talk about competitive Splatoon, and we've got something that's going to be on a weekly basis worthy to talk about. That's right. I got an IPL sticker right here, but I'm going to be talking about Dapple Productions every single week for like the next 2 months because it's going to be free content, free episodes to do. If Cactus, I know you'll be listening to this at some point. If you are not making a Cactus podcast on Dapple Productions every single week, you are a fool. You are a fool. Gus, now is a great time to come back. It's so easy to interview people behind the scenes or like analysts that are looking at this thing. What are your takes? Who do you think is going to win this matchup or stuff like that? It's so easy to grab a player from a team and be like, hey, that was a great win you had last week. Tell us about that. There's so much you can do with these things when they're just one match at a time. It's like Ludi, if Ludi was not 500 gazillion teams, to where it was actually just 8 teams. It's like Ludi if we actually cared about Division X, which you should this season because it's fun, but it's also the thing where it's like, are any of these teams that are playing in Division X even going to qualify for this league? It's going to be really difficult for them to do so, and I'm all for that. So I'm excited to see this. We're going to get to episode 250 of the Popcast exclusively from the Dapple Productions 20XX League. I hope it turns out great for them, and it's going to turn out great for all of us. That's all I'm sure. I hope what Dapples does isn't something to where they say, oh, hell, we're never doing this again. Like, the goal of this should not be to go all the hell out, because that is how you make sure you are like all those folks from Ink TV. They're like, I'm gone forever and I'm never coming back. No, if this stuff is burning out the people creating the events, it's an L. Like that should not be the case. I hope this is something to where it runs to the point to where Dapple says, we need to do this again next year and the year after that, and then throw in like a regular 20XX at some point in the winter, just like over the course of the weekend, and it's momentum that they can use to build forward. Because I can tell you right now, IPL is looking at the same exact thing, and that is how we are going to approach the league when we get our opportunity to do one. Exciting stuff. If you weren't here for the Ink TV League, buckle up. You're in for a fun time, especially when the teams start trash talking each other. It was some highlighted stuff before we move on. There's a major LAN in November in the UK with 4 qualifiers for it. One being a local LAN win. No breeze, but this is the next best thing. I wish if there is a successor to Low Tide City that happens next year, I want MomoCon to just be an invitational. Like it just take, like they have, it's crazy the amount of money that they have for MomoCon. If they just took some of that money and just bought plane tickets for all the teams and just flew them out and get them a hotel room and be like, there's no prize money for you guys to win, but it's just going to be you 4 or 8 teams playing each other over the course of 3 days. Splatoon Summit. I would, and just make it not a LAN event, but just a spectator event. That would be awesome. They would get a ton of views. I don't know if it'd be a return on investment, but I'm interested in that idea that you're talking about there, A-Scene. That's cool. That's on the EU side of things. Prochara honored one in the Zenith pickup, beating 3-4 Area Cup winners. 3 of the 4 Area Cup winners was the biggest win of the tourney to me, in my opinion. It's a significant gap close. Yes, we're going to be talking about a lot of that stuff coming up when it gets to Superjump, which we will be getting to in a minute. But before we do that, let's recap the week. Paddling pool number 276 took place last Wednesday. It was won by Mango Heck Mech. Comp Diff finished in second place, and F equals GMM divided by R to the second power. It's been a long time since I've done formulas in school, and I promise you, once you learn a formula for physics or algebra 2 or something and you get out of high school, you never use any of that stuff ever again. So that's my excuse for not knowing what that formula is for. Maybe it's the power force or something. I don't know. I didn't see Comp Diff finished in second place in this tournament. Comp Diff is loaded with players that traditionally win Paddling Pool and Triton Cup, but Mango Heck Mech, who did not play in Superjump, got the better end of them here in this Paddling Pool. SOS number 154 took place later that night. It was won by Marshmallow Floor. Facade finished in second place, and Demise rounds out your top 3. No, that is not the Demise from 3 years ago. This is a completely different Demise. Much like Stargaze, we've reached a point now to where we're just recycling team names because players are new to the scene and they don't know what the old scene was. Or was Demise a sponsored team and this is just a different time sponsored team? That doesn't seem realistic. Teams use this SOS as a warm-up for Superjump, which is why you're seeing these much stronger teams that don't traditionally play in SOS. Hammerhead was won by Bobo. Mako Bracket was won by the Internal Revenue Service. And Lantern Bracket was won by Honorbound. Ludi Makeup Week took place last week, and there was some doozy of success that took place. First off, Division 3 Dreamy Wave guaranteed a playoff spot in Division 3 with a 5-3 win over the Gorillers. In Division 5, Hibiscus got a 5-4 win over the Black Squid Ink Burgers. In Division 7, the Ink Drinkers got a 5-4 win over Squid Sushi. Division 4, the Yellow Jackets buzzed their way to a 5-3 win over Surf and Turf. Both of those teams moving on to make the playoffs in Division 4. In Division X, Foams got a 5-4 win over Shush. The record ninth game that went to a Game 9, ninth set that went to a Game 9 in Division X. The previous record was 4 a couple of seasons ago. Neither team made the playoffs. That was your brief weekly recap. Sponsored by Sea Battle. Sea Battle was a local that took place in, take a guess, Seattle during last weekend. It was streamed by Splatoon Tourney. By the way, Splatoon Tourney also announced they're going to be streaming the Arizona LAN as well. So Splatoon Tourney streaming Ludi stuff and locals at the same time. You'll love to see it. A lot of stuff going on for that broadcasting company, but shout out to Sea Battle, the unofficial sponsor of today's segment of the weekly recap. Demise was a sponsored team. They were Quantum, that's right. But this isn't the same Demise. I think this is just a project called Demise, unrelated. Speaking of which, I think we'll be talking about them in a minute. Oh, you're fine. Nobody. What's the worst that could happen, Falco? What's the worst that could happen? Give him the stream tee to Splatoon Tourney number 26. How many followers does that channel have? There's no harm in that. Superjump. Hey, that's fine. Hey, Falco, if you want to stream the Arizona LAN on this channel, you're more than welcome to do so. That'd be great to give the people who subscribe to me for some reason something to actually watch there. First off, before we get into Superjump, hats off to Toasty and Kiara, who I mispronounced, but I like the little pizzazz that we put on there, for spearheading yet another Superjump. Being the head TOs for a major online tournament is never an easy thing to do. You have to deal with all of the knuckleheads that are part of Low Inc. and all of the knuckleheads who have egos because they're banned from Low Inc. all at the same time. Probably not a fun thing to do. Guess what? Nobody likes Start.gg. Nobody. There's nobody that actually enjoys that thing. It's great for LANs. Start.gg is amazing for LANs because it can take money payments and the players don't have to interact with it at all during the actual tournament. The TOs, Start.gg is the best TO-friendly website that there is when it doesn't crash every other day. But when you're at a LAN and players don't have to actually do anything with the site and just the TOs do, it works out great for them. Plus, you can pay and sign up with money through those. That's why you see it a lot for LANs. Sindao is not ready for a tournament this size, although Sindao did say today that they could make something like this without breaking a sweat. It's still in the beta stages, and SOS did crash one time with 70 some odd teams, so There's still some testing to be done with that before you see a Superjump on a Sindao website. Although it is probably likely you'll see the next Superjump 5 on Sindao, I would assume. And Battlefy doesn't support the format of this tournament, which is double elim groups. Now, you can make double elim groups on Battlefy, but there is no auto progression. So if you want to make a double elim group, you're going to have to, by hand, remake the redemption bracket once every single double elim group is done, and also, by hand, build all of the alpha through zeta brackets once those things are all done. So, yes, technically you could do it on Battlefy, but it would be absolutely horrible. The good thing about this, you can build it all in start.gg, and the tournament will auto-place all the teams in the correct spot they need to be going as soon as they qualify for the spot to be used. So that is why it's all on here, and why it's so frustrating for everybody to register. And yes, you could sign up with 4 people on your team, and it'll still say your roster is not complete. So there's a lot of frustration with that. I get it. But guess what? This will probably be the last online tournament. Although Speed Ladder likes to use it for some reason. I guess they like that ladder format. Battlefy has got a pretty good ladder format, actually. But this might be the last time you have to deal with it. Just throwing that out there. Who knows? Top Cut is difficult to make it into this tournament. Only 16 teams make it to Top Cut. Now, that was what the last Superjump was before, but traditionally 20XXs and Superjumps prior, Top Cut was 32 teams, or Alpha Bracket was 32 teams that made it into it. Well, now only 16 make it in, which is good, because that means that we get matches on day 1 that hold actual value. You're going to get the finals of your group stages that are pretty significant and worthwhile watching. And you are going to get a redemption round, which is extremely difficult to win, extremely stressful, and again, is a match that actually means something. So often, especially with low ink, with how the Swiss works out, a lot of the matches we put on don't have any impact on who's actually going to what kind of bracket. Those are just like new teams that we try to put on to try to highlight them. But like, we don't even know if they're going to qualify for Sunday or not. Here, you're looking at a redemption bracket round. You're watching Duck Motif play Bet. You are, you probably could be watching Orca Balestra play against the team that they beat in the redemption round. In redemption round, this threw off Brush when he first heard about it, because you think about redemption is always a thing at LAN tournaments, which is, redemption is a lot of fun to play at LAN tournaments. But here, the redemption round was basically single elimination. You have to win 2 matches in redemption to make it to alpha. If you don't, you fall down to beta or whatever. Orca Balestra had to play Bet in redemption round. That went to a game 5. Facade and Triggerfish Zones went to a game 5 in the redemption round. Some good stuff that was actually worthwhile, and against teams that you actually want to see. Like, beforehand, is Facade or Orca Balestra going to threaten to win this whole tournament? Probably not, but as we take a look at Alpha Bracket, it did kind of play into things. My point being, this format seems to work out great. For the top 8 teams, it works out great for them too. They play their matches, they win their double M group, they're done. They're qualified for Alpha Bracket. They get to be done with that. And one of the main complaints with the 32-team format is for double limb, it takes so long to get through it. And this tournament took a long time on day 2 as well, because the losers bracket was best of 5 to give teams more of a competitive sets in the loser side instead of best of 3, although it does drag things on. The main complaint with 32-team formats is, why don't you just let us play round 1 on day 1? Because if you win your group, you've only played like 2-3 matches or something like that. It doesn't make sense to only play a couple of those matches, and then on Sunday you're playing like 7 or 8 matches. Like, the balance isn't there. So why not just have us play round 1 on day 1 and then pick up round 2 in the top 16? Well, this format kind of fixes both of those issues. Let's say if you win your group, you're done for the day. You don't even have to play round 1. You get to skip it. Everybody else has to play a very short redemption round. And if you win, you move on. If you don't, you go down to the other bracket. I think that works out great. In the feedback IPL has been getting about this format has been nothing but a positive. I think this works out better too. It makes it an actual major versus yet another double limb tournament or yet another group into this double limb, day one group, day two. Like this format is different, and it should be different for the type of tournament that it is. And it seems to work out really well because it gets nothing but praise from the target market teams. Now, if you're a team that loses a lot, or you're like falling down to the lower brackets, you might not like this, but there's no balance. There's no way to make the low ink players happy and the top level players happy. In my mind, this tournament should cater exclusively to top level and nobody else because they barely have anything to play in other than the 20XX League coming up in about a month. But this seems to work out. And again, there's no way to do this on any other website at this time, so that's why you saw it right here. ProChara likes the losers best of 5, but top 16. Yeah, if you did best of 5 losers in a top 32, that's a 10-hour tournament. Because there's 2 extra rounds of loser side in a top 32 because you need more time where you're not getting a brand new team from the winner side. More losers teams that have been there for a while have to knock each other out to get to a brand new team. So it takes way longer in the top 32. You're adding 3 total rounds, 1 more on winners, 2 more on losers. So yeah, best of 5 would be insane. Another example of that. But I mean, it sucks for Europe because they have to stay up so late, but Europe also dominated this tournament, so it didn't seem to bother them. Or if they did, the fact that they made podium kind of made things a little bit better. So let's take a look at each bracket because this isn't just about alpha. And we're going to be starting at epsilon. So here's the question. How do you make this work for everybody to make it happy? Because there is no low ink this month. And we are never going to do the low ink the same month of a Superjump. It's just too much. It's just too much Splatoon to be going on at one time. So how do you appease the low inkers who don't get a low ink this month and are kind of upset about that? They're like feeling like they're forced to play in a tournament they may not want to play in. They've been liking the Swiss format that has been going on for the last couple times. We've been getting a lot of positive feedback from Swiss specifically in the lower brackets of this one. Epsilon and Delta were both Swiss, and teams seem to be really enjoying this one. I don't think there's actually a 5th round here. I think they only played 4 rounds. I don't know. The other one was only 4 rounds. But this ended up working out pretty well for the teams that played in this one. The good thing about Start.gg Swiss, I'm talking about formats. I don't know if you guys care or not about this. I do. The difference is on Battlefy, everybody has to be done before you can move on. On Start.gg, if it calculates the team you're going to play next is ready, it's just going to populate that match and you can go ahead and start like ahead of time while other rounds are still going on. There's ways we could manually do it on Battlefy, but we don't want to burn ourselves up that much. As Epsilon bracket is concerned, Paradigm Starfish is your winner of the Epsilon bracket. They just won the Swiss side of things and did not move on past that. Did anybody go 0-5? No. So I think that final round was just a free win for some people. 14-1 was their set score for this. If you're wondering who this Starfish team is, they are a Div 6 team. In fact, they made the playoffs in Div 6 because they only lost 4 games total. They swept their group. They 5-0'd their group. So this is a strong Div 6 team that was able to find their way at the top of Epsilon bracket. Congratulations to them. People do put these kinds of things in their results years later. We won the Epsilon bracket of Superjump, to which I say I completely forgot about that, but yes, that was the thing. Delta bracket, pretty much more of the same. It was another Swiss format, and this one had the correct, I believe, 4 rounds of Swiss to it, or maybe they just didn't bother doing a 5th round. It was not won by the Lost Inklings, who I saw one right there. Instead, the Big Fat Sea Cows take home the dub in this one, going 5-3 per games, but 4-0 overall, finishing ahead of Pick a God and Play, led by Echo and Sigurd, the crazy roller player who is much older than me, who is still playing this game at a pretty good level. If you ever fight Sigurd, just use point sensor, and if you see a curling bomb, always shoot in where the curling bomb is. Sigurd is guaranteed to be in that spot every single time. It's been that way for like the past 6 years that I've been fighting against Sigurd in tournaments. Big Fat Sea Cows is the winner here of the Delta bracket. Big Fat Sea Cows might end up being the most decorated college team of all time in tournaments outside of the CCA. They are Alpha Bracket regulars, and I hear they got some pretty decent wins over the course of this tournament that made our low-ink seeding verification staff go, a little bit interesting there. As I'm looking over, maybe it was just this win over Pick a God the Prey that is kind of significant for that, because all these other wins are, well, they're supposed to lose to Orca, and that Squid EST win, well, actually, I think we'll take a look at them in the very next bracket, so let's just do that. Gamma bracket. Yes, Squid EST. Squid Est. Not Squid EST. Squid Est is here. Speaking of them, Squid Est might have had the best showing of any team to only win one game in this bracket. They sweep Blake Spruter and then go on to take C-Bay, who won this entire bracket. They pushed them to a game 5 before going down to the loser's side and getting swept out by Celestial. Does this make Squid Est a top 10 low-ink team next month? I think it does. I'll need to take a look at some of the other things they've been doing, but getting a sweep over Blake Spruter, who swept the Black Squid Ink Burgers, like, these are 2 alpha regulars that are being taken on here. This is a significant win for Squid Est. In the game 5, yes, if you take a team to a game 3 at a best of 3, it's not super impressive. It is impressive, though, if you take a team this caliber to a game 5. That is notable. Enough to bump you up an extra div or get you banned from a tournament? I don't think so. You still took the L. An L is an L, but sometimes an L can be slightly impressive. Slightly. It is worth noting right here. Lila. I do not know who's on Lila, but we got to talk about them because they finished in 3rd place on this one. They swept Celestial. EP Dreepy, who's a pretty solid team. They took care of them. Nothing Burger, the team that finished in 2nd place, and they pushed C-Bay to a game 5 for Nothing Burger. Got a revenge on them. I don't think I recognize any of these players. The Carlos with a question mark I've seen several times in Loinks in the past, and that is not the Rays. That is a part of IPL. So I don't know much about these players, if this is a pickup or whatever, but you have to at least mention them because they finished 3rd place in Gamma Bracket. And this is the team that finished in 2nd place. Nothing Burger, obviously a pickup led by, oh gosh, I'm doxing somebody's name right there. Let's. Another benefit of start.gg. If you don't know anything, you're just kind of blasting all. So let's get that fixed before we go back. Well, now I can't even find the bracket. I hate this website. There we go. Gamma bracket. Done and done. The team that won this one, C-Bay, got pushed to a bracket reset, got all the way to game 5, but they got revenge. So C-Bay played nothing but the strongest teams. Also, shout out to Inkception, who technically only got 1 win because they got disqualified. Peace Strikers got Dairy Queened. But Inkception got a 3-2 win over Hanu, which did a pretty decent job here on the loser side of things as well. So nicely done, Inkception, but awesome. You did much better. Lila was solo queue. Why won't they just call themselves solo queue but awesome? That's way better than just Lila. For C-Bay, though, they are an actual team. They're going to be playing in the Div 4 playoffs. They did not win their group, but they did go 4-1. Tiebreakers didn't work out in their favor. However, they finished in 2nd place. So C-Bay possibly could find a way to win Div 4. We'll find out a month from now when Div 4 actually finishes up. For now, though, they win a stacked Gamma bracket, and this is the awkward half these teams still in low ink, maybe half these teams banned from low ink. but the teams that are still in low ink got something to prove, and a lot of them did prove some stuff. But the teams that have been banned find an opportunity to flex, and they do just that. Where are we at? Beta bracket? I gotta give props to beta bracket. When you look at this, you see all these Dairy Queens. You think, oh gosh, this is bad. It's not that bad. Last year was pretty bad. last year's beta bracket was pretty horrible. This beta bracket's always going to be this. It's always going to look like this, right? Because you got teams that are, since there's only 16 that make alpha bracket, you got a lot of teams that are just not wanting, that have nothing to win, versus a bunch of teams that are playing for everything, like have everything to win here. Does ASC Tenchi benefit from winning beta bracket? No. Does Bet benefit from winning beta bracket of Superjump? No, they don't at all. The only thing they have is the opportunity to get upset by somebody who they should be beating. So and again, I've said this in the past with beta bracket and low ink before. I don't condone teams by dropping and not playing in day 2. I also do not condemn it at the same time. It's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. The teams that truly want to take advantage of this will play and will flex. Starting with Ultra Krill knocking off the Div 2 playoff team Stargaze in a Game 5. Damn. So here's the question. Do we give Ultra Krill their ban from low inks banner right now, or do we make them sign up next month and wait for them to give it to them then? Like what do you want to do? The answer is you wait. Because if we just look at this and just give a team a ban from low ink sticker at the very beginning, then we're just going to get a bunch of other DMs. Why are we going to get banned? Hey, did you see my results? Pop gun? Am I banned from low ink now too? Can you give me a banner? So no, that's why we don't just automatically do it whenever we see things like this. But if you're Ultra Krill and you want some breaking news, there's no way in hell we're letting you play in low ink. There's no way. I mean, look at this. This should not be happening. Taking a game off of the Bad Piggies. What do they do in the loser side of things? Taking a game off of Blank Z as well. My goodness. Yeah. Good job. You've improved. You got what you needed out of low ink. You don't need to be here anymore. Go away. Nicely done to Ultra Krill. Now, because there are a couple of Dairy Queens here, you do get the odd thing where distinct. Where is distinct? They made it all the way to losers round 3 without winning a set, because they got the Dairy Queen over BT over Bet. The number 1 seed Booyah back eliminated them. Then they get a free win over AFC Tenchi as well before Ice Shard does them in. So distinct losers round 3. Congratulations on doing that. Would have been a tough run for them if they actually played some of these teams that didn't disqualify, but hey, you still made it that far, and it's worth noting. Now, before we get to the Triggerfish elephant in the room, we do got to give a shout out to the Bad Piggies, I did look it up. They are in Div 2 playoffs. They did finish in 3rd place here, beat Booyah back in a Game 5. In fact, they made the losers bracket run. Ice Shard, Booyah back. Who sent them down here? Ford F-150. So Ford F-150. What is... Wait. Oh, I'm looking at winner's side and brass side. Yeah, so Ford beat them down, and then Bad Piggies eliminated them again before losing to Triggerfish 3-0 in the zone. All right. For this winner's final set, though, this is what we're going to be focusing on. Triggerfish Zones versus Ford F-150. This could be the playoff match that decides Division 3. Yes, Triggerfish is 4-1 in that division, but they won their group, so they are going to be in playoffs as the higher seed. And I haven't looked at the bracket to see if these two teams run into each other. Like if they run into each other in like semifinals or else. It sucks in Division 1. Facade and Catnip play in semifinals and they don't play in finals. So that might be like the actual Div 1 finals right there, but this is just a precursor of something to come. down the road. Um, but okay, triggerfish zones. I've been talking about you guys a lot lately. I wish they were consistent. I really do. And I don't know what happened to them 2 months ago when they were messing around in Hammerhead bracket of SOS. But whatever issue that had, they've clearly gotten over it. I've seen the little meme they put out of the circle they put where they're like, we experiment, then do bad in tournaments, then get underseeded, then play hard, and then we get overseeded. And then it's like, yeah, obviously they're at the spectrum where they've been playing some of the best Splatoon they've been playing since their team's existence. And I saw the clip of Pepe going nuts on a Rainmaker game as well. That was cool to see. I just wish Triggerfish, like if this version of Triggerfish played in every single event, like they could be Div 1. They're beating Div 1 teams here. Who did they beat? Well, they beat Blanks. The Waffle team took them to a game 5, and this is a mess. Just looking at this, two teams right next to each other just looks gross on this thing with all these T's and P's and F's and whatnot. Booyah back, swept, bad piggy swept. Man, Triggerfish. You guys are so frustrating. Just be consistent. You could be awesome. They have been pretty consistent as of late. Triggerfish zones, F-150 can run into each other in the semifinals. Okay, fair enough. Other side of the Div 3 bracket features Chikubata 2 Euros, Chaos Control, Crossfire, and Free Flow. Okay, Free Throw could get revenge on Triggerfish if they can get past Crossfire, but I still think Triggerfish and F-150 is like the actual spiritual grand finals of that one. A-Scene, I'd like to bring attention to Stargaze Ultra Krill set. Well, good, because I did as well. As I am on Stargaze, and I lost to Ultra Krill, who I coach. A team beating their coach shows a lot about their strength. It shows that you've been revealing too many of your own weaknesses to them as well. They figured you guys out in order to beat you. That's something. Oh my gosh, Kite, you are going to be so lost paying attention to this. This is not StarCraft, but here you are. Fair enough. It's nice to see you. Hello. Alpha bracket. Then we'll call it a day. Magic the Gathering. Close enough. All right. Alpha brackets. The teams you actually care about. Let's go. Not every single team, but the teams I wanted to point out. First off, Black Lotus. I genuinely thought Black Lotus was going to do better than what they ended up doing right here. Not that I'm saying they should have beat the Honored ones. Honestly, that's kind of the thing. But the fact that they didn't get past the Micklin Hero pickup, no, that's not like a knock at Micklin Hero pickup at all. It's just Black Lotus has been doing really well as of late. And you thought this would be an opportunity for them to shine, and they obviously didn't shine at that moment. Not that they were the only team to do it. A team who did end up shining, though, you got to give a shout out to Facade after they lost in round 1 to Metro, which looks like a great loss to have at this time. Survived Demise in all capital letters, 3-2. Beat Added Value, which was a very strong pickup that Half did not play on, apparently. Thank you for DMing me that, Half, or pinging me about that. I didn't realize. I saw you on the roster, my bad. And Comp Diff. If Comp Diff, you will look at their roster, as I mentioned before, the players that always win those the Dapple production tournaments, I thought Comp Diff would do a little bit better, and they did decently well. Making the losers round 3 of Alpha Bracket isn't that bad, but Facade beating them 3-1. This looks really good for this Facade team. Again, they are 25-0 per games in Alpha Bracket, so or in Division 1 of Ludi, so that you would assume they would be pretty good, or at least better than what a traditional Div 1 label would be. But if there's a team that I would be interested to keep an eye on during the 20XX qualifiers, it would be Facade. Am I saying they're going to qualify for the league? No, I'm not saying that. But they are going to be like we didn't expect Nightmare to qualify for the Ink TV League. Somebody's got to fill that surprise spot. It could be Facade, or it could be this other team that I've really been impressed with for what they did this tournament. Duck Motif. And this doesn't include the Game 5 win they got in the double elimination stage against Bet to even make it out of this one and win their group, which I don't know if they were seeded to win their group or not. They might have been. But they beat Hades 3-1. Salty Spring, eliminated them. Kiki Fan Club 3-0. Moonlight 3-1. And this is a set where I thought Moonlight was just going to show the Ducks that they're not ready for prime time. This is I would just assume, just of what we know of Duck Motif, they are a team that can win a weekly, but we're not used to seeing them in losers quarterfinals of a tournament like this. Well, they got past the mountain. They beat Moonlight 3-1 and took a game off the Honored Ones to finish tied for 5th overall. The Quack Attack making a huge noise. I think, other than the people that made podium, Duck Motif is probably the biggest individual winner of the tournament. And yes, the fact that they got all of this with 20XX around the corner provides the momentum that they need to carry forward, because otherwise we're going to forget all about Duck Motif until like the next big tournament that happens, which could be forever from now. And Duck Motif might not even play since then. But now that we got the qualifiers, there's something immediately for them to build off of this momentum, and that's what makes that exciting to look forward at. Moonlight, I mean, it's. I'm a Moonlight fan. I'm rooting for Moonlight. I think I've been on record saying that before, and this is why. How good they did at Low Tide City, pushing Starburst to a bracket reset, was significant, because they do things like this where they finish in losers round 3 of this bracket. Where now, was Moonlight like a favorite to win this tournament? No, not. But we're always waiting for Moonlight to take that next step, and it feels like we just haven't seen them take that next step in a long time. Now, the good news is they're not losing ground. And this is a good spot to be in. Any team, any of these teams that didn't make podium or haven't like traditionally won tournaments in the past would be more than happy to trade their status in the pecking order with Moonlight any day of the week. So they're not losing ground, but it just seems like we all want Moonlight to take that next step, and they're just not taking that next step. Again, another opportunity with the 20XX league for that to change the place. I would love to see them qualify for that league. Love to see that happen. It's going to be difficult to do, though. Finally, the podium teams. I said on Twitter last week that EU was going to dominate this tournament, and for once I was right. That is probably a bad thing that I was correct about something, but I was correct. EU did dominate this one. In fact, of the 12 players that represented the podium here, 10 of the 12 are from the continent of Europe. Salty Springs, the ideal team, Keo, Ice, Bagel, and Biscuit, the number 1 overall seed, got swept by the Honored Ones. Surprisingly, that feels like a matchup that traditionally is not won. The Honored Ones being the Obito Gray pickup. Able to beat this pseudo non-FT win team 3-0. That's extremely impressive. It could be now I'm not going to take any credit away from the Honored Ones, but it makes me think like how sharp was these players on Salty Springs, how much how much have they been playing the game in the past couple of months? I have no idea. But you could say the same thing about all these other players, if they've been grinding or not. There hasn't been like main tournaments for them to do so in. But I'm genuinely shocked that Salty Springs didn't even make podium in this tournament. But it just shows kind of the power that the Honored Ones and the rest of these teams have. Metro sweeping them. And that was Metro sweeping them with one of their players constantly DCing in VC. Not in the game, but in VC. They're still able to find a way to sweep them. My goodness. So Honored Ones and Oro Jackson played 10 games in this tournament, split them 5 apiece. Honored Ones got them in loser side, so they move on to grand finals. Oro Jackson, this is a great run for them as well. And again, the one thing I was happy about 20XX running before IPL did a league is because I have no idea what Europe looks like right now. Like, I have no idea what the top end of Europe looks like. and we got a good glimpse of it. It's pretty damn good. And Oro Jackson coming back, this is the strongest they've ever looked in a tournament like this, and just couldn't get it done in this Game 5, although they were able to get it done in the winner side of things as well, and push Metro to a Game 5 as well. I just think they ended up playing a lot of Splatoon. 15 matches 15 games across 3 sets is a lot to digest. And of course it was getting late, but again, everybody was in Europe over there. For Metro though, it really shouldn't be a shock that they won. I think they were the number 4 overall seed. It is surprising that they were able to break through and get this win in the fashion that they did. And they didn't dodge anyone. They were the number 4 seed. They played number 1. They played the number 2 and number 3. And I think they played the number 5 seed along the way as well. They played the best teams that they could play, and they beat them all. Didn't lose any set across the entire weekend. And did you catch it, though? There's a couple things I caught in the grand finals thing as me and my wife were watching this set live on our TV downstairs while we were playing with our kid. Zenith changed their IGN to IB. And for those of you who've been around for a long time, you should recognize that IB was from the Ink Bashers, a former Low Ink team. This is something my wife caught that I didn't. My wife recognized Yoshel was a former player from the Evening Chickens, the Alpha Bracket favorite. In fact, Evening Chickens was a team that won Gamma Bracket and Beta Bracket, and they might have been the first team ever to win Alpha Bracket if they actually won Low Ink, which they never did. And no team has ever done all 3 of those things. But I didn't even realize Yoshel was on the Evening Chickens, but my wife did. Because the Evening Chickens, remember, they used to name themselves after dipping sauces. Like hot sauce, barbecue sauce, chili sauce, things like that. And we haven't really... I didn't even realize that. But there are 2 former Low Ink players that found their way into the grand finals of this one. Did we get rid of that one? We did. Okay. Now, here's the question going forward. Is Metro actually going to play in this one? Is Zenith going to try to play with Osmosis and go through qualifiers, or is Metro going to sweep through here? If Metro plays, is there... I mean, it's hard to say they're the favorite, because I think if this tournament played again tomorrow, you still put Salty Springs number 1, even though they didn't make podium. You still have to respect the brand of what those players are. But I do want to see this version of this Metro team continue to play. They were a lot of fun, and they were really good. There's no reason not to want to see that. And it just doesn't fit the mold of what you see a Superjump team win. It's been Japan the first 2, Jackpot the third one, and now the 4th is Metro. Which makes it even more impressive for them that they got to this point. So hats off to them, and congrats to all of you who actually played in this tournament. And that's it. We gone a little bit over time. People who don't even know what Splatoon is somehow found their way into the chat. So we are going to wrap this thing up. Metro already accepted the invitation for the league. Awesome. That answers my question about that. If you'd like to be a part of the podcast in any way, feel free to reach out at my socials. Twitter, Mr_Popgun, Discord, Popgun, anchor.fm/Popgun, Twitter at Mr_Popgun, YouTube at 25Popgun, Anchor at Popgun, at Twitch 25. There's a lot of that stuff. Let's raid somebody. Raid's been created. Good. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but there's going to be something interesting. There always something is. Get vaccinated, stay safe, don't die.